I am back with my last December daily video of 2020 or from 2020. It's 2021 now. And I am just doing the last few pages of Christmas Day. I did stop my album this time at Christmas Day. I didn't have a lot going on towards the end of the year, especially with all the quarantine and everything else going on. So I decided just to cut it off at day 25 this year. So these are some more pictures of my daughter opening her Christmas presents. I ended up trimming down that Christmas tree paper that is the kind of that taupey color. I trimmed that down and I added some stitching around it. I'm adding some of these chipboard pieces. Again, like I said in my previous video, keeping Christmas Day pretty under embellished because there's just a lot going on in these photos. I didn't feel like I needed to do a ton of embellishing. So I am going to take that acetate little banner, put that at the top, and I love these little cork trees. I added the little smaller one there and the chipboard 25. And then I wanted to back this up a bit more. I thought it was kind of getting, I don't know, a little lost, or I just needed something to ground it a bit. So I did add the little gold snowflake there, and then that is how that one is going to look. Here I was struggling with this again because these photos are really busy. I don't want to add a lot, but I don't want to keep it too plain. So I end up taking this vintage tag. I think it was a tag that would go on a present, and I'm just going to use that and then cut the bottom of it off just for that joy to have a place to anchor. That sparkle and shine chipboard piece is just going to go on the bottom of that photo. And I like how that looked. I'm just going to layer that joy chipboard piece up there on that card here. Just trim that off and I'll keep that extra piece in my stash for another different layout. So I like how that looks. I'm just going to start gluing everything down. I'm just trying to strategically put the adhesive so that because some of these pieces like the little vellum snowflake and then that acetate banner, you can see through it. So I'm trying to strategically put the adhesive so you don't see the adhesive through the translucent pieces. And then I probably could have stitched that little banner on too, but I think the adhesive is going to hold it just fine. Added a bit of journaling. I do use my glue stick to add this vellum piece. I probably should have stapled it. It caused me all kinds of grief. It did not want to stay down. It was curling up. I spared you watching me put it down because I don't know, I worked on it forever and trying to get it to stay down. So lesson learned, don't use glue stick on that thinner vellum. It just doesn't work. So this is the last thing that I'm going to be putting in the album. This is a little flip book. I printed out two photos. One is me and my daughter by the Christmas tree, and another one that's going to go inside the little booklet is me holding a list. Every year my mom would number all of her presents and she would keep a list of everything, and then she would have us go through and dig through the presents trying to find a particular number, which made Christmas morning a lot longer but also so much fun. And I decided this year that I would do the same thing, especially since we weren't going to be going anywhere for Christmas. I kind of wanted to bring that tradition that my mom had over to our house. And so I just wrote down everything and then had my daughter sift through the Christmas presents trying to find the number of the present that I needed her to open. So that was fun, and I wanted to capture that here and just kind of what I got her as well. So this photo is going to go on the outside and it was going to hang over the edge, and I wanted to cover up the part that was going to be hanging over. So I just took this really pretty red and white stripe paper, and that's going to show once you flip the book open. And then you'll glue the other part of the photo to the flap. So I'm just trying to make sure everything's lined up nicely. And then I will press that down. And then there you can see that stripe paper there. And now I am making a little tab. Now this tab I actually end up taking off in the end. When I put it in the binder, that tab actually ends up getting in the way and it won't let the book open up or really flip right. So I do decorate this and put this on. I show you this just in case you might want to use an idea like this, but you definitely want to make sure that it's going to fit in your book correctly. So what I end up doing later on, at the very, very end of the video, is changing this out for like a fabric tab. And then that way it bends and it fits in the album okay. But I'm showing this anyway because I figured you might want to see, just in case that you could still use something like this for your layout. So I'm just gluing that page or that picture in the middle here. And then I typed up my journaling on the computer and I trimmed it out, and I actually used this board that looked like it had those old time photo corners on it. So I'll be showing that here in just a second. And that's where my journaling went, about using the numbers and then also the list of Christmas presents. Even though you can see that list here in my hand, I wanted to type it up so it was a little bit more formal looking, and you can see how it has the little photo corners. I thought that was cute because I'm using this vintage paper, and I just trimmed that out with my scissors and my trimmer, gluing all that down. And I thought this was perfect because it was a little busy. I liked the colors in the background, but it was a bit of a busy paper, and that just tones everything down. Now I felt like this was a little plain on the right side, so I'm pulling out some scrap fabric here. I end up using this holly one. I am going to end up stitching around this fabric, but I'm going to stitch it to a piece of paper. I wanted to make sure it stayed flat when I was stitching. So I just did a zigzag stitch, but I did it on a piece of cardstock, and then I just ripped the cardstock edge so you didn't really see that it was stuck to paper, but it just anchored it better on this page. So you can see here I'm just going to rip that off. Probably could have put it on a thinner like copy paper because this was a little bit harder to get off just because it is cardstock, but it ends up working out just fine. So I'm just pulling that off. I thought I was going to keep it at first, but I just didn't like how that looked. I wanted it to look like it was just fabric here, so that's kind of why I'm messing with that. Going to glue that down, and then that Christmas wood veneer is going to go right on the top of that, and I really like how that looks. I like the texture that the fabric gives, and then also the wood veneer piece. So that's that. Now I'm going to work on embellishing this photo. I had some open space at the top. I'm adding this Tim Holtz number 25 metal piece, and then I had some stickers on a sticker sheet that look like ornaments, and I thought those would look cute hanging down from this Story of Today rubber piece. So now I'm just making this so that it's going to look like it hangs. I really like how that looks. I like how it kind of covers up some of the busy shelf that's there, and then also just adds something to that top open area. The Story of Today I thought was getting a little lost, so I'm going to glue this down on this black and white striped paper. I really think that is a pretty paper, and I had a little scrap of it and it was perfect for this, so I'm just gluing that down with some red liner tape. That is the tape that Ali Edwards recommends for these rubber pieces. A lot of other adhesives just don't work right, so I'm going to make sure I use that here, and then I'm just going to trim this out just so it has a little border. I just think that helps it pop off the photo a bit more. So here's the sticker sheet, and has these two little ornaments that I'm going to glue onto the photo here. I'm just going to tuck those under in a good spot, figure out where everything's going to go. I really like how that looks. And I'll end up trimming off some of that extra twine. I was going to make the twine go all the way to the top, but I didn't really like how that looks, so I'm going to hide it behind the little Story of Today banner. Again, using my glue dots for these metal embellishments to make sure that they don't fall off. I'm going to trim off the twine here, and then I'll glue that Story of Today banner down. So while I'm doing that, I want to thank you guys so much for joining me for this project. I've had a lot of fun doing my December daily and sharing that with you guys. If you have any questions about anything I did, make sure you leave those in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video series, please give me a thumbs up, and hopefully here in the future I will be having more December daily, Project Life pages up, and then also more junk journaling. I haven't been able to do much junk journaling in the last month just because I've been working on my December daily project. But I hope to have more of those kind of videos up as well, if that's why you're here. So please stay tuned for that. Now, like I said, I'm going to be working on this tab, but it is going to ultimately come off, but I wanted to leave this footage in here just so you can see what I did on here. These are just some word strips that I had in my stash, just gluing those down to make sure they stick. I think it says Christmas Wish on it. Kind of showing you what that all looks like a little bit closer. So now I got to figure out how to get this in my album. So I am going to just glue these black tabs on and then use my template, and you can see how that tab is getting in the way. and there's that fabric piece that I just end up putting on, and that fabric goes with the other fabric I used on this kit. So thank you guys so much for joining me. I hope you had a great time watching the videos, and I will be back again very soon. Bye bye everyone.